Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my Real Board series. Now, today we are going to be going over a very strong player, I think. I'm pretty certain the game I'm going to be going over is who I think it is. The SGF of the game came from a rather dubious nature. So I think it is. I think it is. If all has gone well, and I am right as to who we are going over, then we are going over someone who is quite strong indeed. Now, when you think of strong players, you might think of Chang Ho, you might think of Stoll, you might think of Kong Ji, depending on if you study modern games or go over my past lectures. Some more recent names might pop in there. However, Longshi does not probably register to you unless you are an avid fan of going back into really old games. You see, even though this board is quite blank right now, it is not going to remain that way for long. You see, at the start of this particular game, we have an adjustment to make. We must place a few stones, as you can see here. That is right. This game is a Chinese game, as you might have been able to tell from the name. And back then, games started very differently. They started 4-4s, opposite corners, with, and this might be new information to some of you, with white placing the first move. I mean, it's that's like so completely different than what we're used to. Another thing that you might notice is not a lot of people are aware of the ancient stronger Chinese players. And at the time, pretty much that was the case for, everyone. It was regarded that Chinese players just weren't matching up to Japanese players yet. So this particular player who we're going over today, I guess from what I've read, what I've learned so far, yeah, his games weren't really appreciated until long after his death, when we go back and look at the games and we're like, wow, that guy was actually a lot stronger than anyone gave him credit for at the time. I mean, they ranked this guy up with the greats of all time. And briefly looking at this game, I have to say, yeah, that's definitely fair to say. So you're going to immediately notice a bunch of things that are different from this game than perhaps you are used to. One thing you're going to notice right away, large knight off of a 4-4 stone. That is something that we do not see very often nowadays. Those of you who watched my interview with Haley, we got into talking about large knights and the fact that this can be kind of stolen pretty well nowadays. We kind of shy away from it as a result. Just giving up the territory doesn't make us very comfortable. But this was a very different time with, as you can see here, very different rules. That does not mean that white, who is Longshi this game, does not mean at all that he is not a strong player. So here we see the large knight opening, the large knight response from black, followed by an immediate approach again by white, trying to put pressure on this. Because keep in mind, even without this, the 3-3 is vulnerable, right? 3-3 is vulnerable even without this. So when we place the extra stone there, you can imagine how much more vulnerable it is. However, if you think we're immediately going to get a response from some kind of defense in the corner, you would be gravely mistaken. You'd be gravely mistaken indeed. Instead, what we see is a willingness to fight immediately. Rather than defending the corner and defend against the 3-3 invasion, Instead, we're going to pick a fight over what White's tried to gain for himself over here. Immediate fight. Immediate fight. Again, backing off of the large knight. This is apparently a very, very common theme from players at the time. They really, really dig this large knight off of the 4/4 stone. One thing they also really, really enjoyed was fighting over anything that their opponent apparently tried to say, I want this. So here, for example, you see maybe White wants to develop this, but Black is going to just jump in there and say no. Now he is jumping in such a way that we can get 2 space extensions from Black no matter which way we go, right? This way we can go down 2 space, we can go, or we can go here 2 space, we can go here 2 space. We're completely fine, completely fine. Should surprise no one that the large knight is adopted. Now, you could think the 2 space here would be a normal solution to settle these stones. Unfortunately, to do that, one, you still have ways to settle, so keep that in mind. That is a thing that we must consider. Another thing we must consider is we can still apply pressure of our own. There are still corners available, still extensions that we can take for ourselves. Black says, nope, I'm not going to play there. I'm going to put pressure on your cornerstone instead. To which White repeats, well, if you want that, I'm going to approach you. To which Black repeats, the large knight enclosure. Which White repeats, putting pressure on extending from said enclosure. Are we getting different yet? Well, it continues, because Black then approaches. Now the corners are all taken care of, so White grabs himself a base. And from here, the rest of the game begins. I mean, just look at what we're seeing here. Enclosure, 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 all large knights, pretty much approaching the same ways. When I decided that I was going to start doing a series of games on my real board, where I look at some of the more older style games, seeing their strengths and weaknesses, things like that, I was a little bit unprepared for the level of difference that I was going to be viewing in these games. I mean, I thought, yeah, I've taken a look at, one of Shusaku's games, I take some look at some of Go Sagan's games, I know what I'm going to be expecting. No. I did not realize what I was expecting at all. Did not expect this. So, right now, it's even kind of tough to see where the last move went. If you were looking over someone's shoulder at this game, you'd have no idea where the last move was. No way at all. No way at all. But that was the last move. So what do we do here? We've got these 2 areas of interest, bases that can be obtained. Maybe we play there. No, it looks like we're going to start committing ourselves. White's attacking, then corners are spoken for. We've got a fight on our hands. We're going to defend our stone. White threatens to link under and tries to defend some of his corner. Black says, no, you are not going to do that. This exchange should look fairly common. We're going to turn. We are not, and I want to stress this right now, we are not going to Atari. Those of you who do this in your games, cut it the heck out. It's not a good move. You actually make this kind of exchange, you are giving your opponent immense amount of territory. Nice, solid. We don't do that, and instead connect. Then there is still Aji in this corner. We might be able to throw in later and further reduce, something we cannot do if we are stupid and make this exchange just for the lols. So everyone who's watching this video, you are now forbidden. You are forbidden from playing this Atari blindly unless you have a really, really, really good reason to do so. Alright, we're keeping that Aji alive. Now White, the back of his head, he has to think about the same thing. It's like, there's Aji back there, so okay. Let's do some defending and some attacking. Black extends. We now have a threat for a Ko here. So these are really, really aggressive players, but I guess you kind of have to be when you don't get a choice, really, in how you develop your opening. I mean, your opening was 4 stones played before you really even sat down at the board. White jumps up because we are really hardcore going after that. Black says, well, maybe I can defend against. And this is pretty good. I mean, we're getting black to touch our stones. That's making us so much stronger. Oh my god. We can Hane here, as we see in the game, because we're seeking to defend against some of the bad stuff. It's like, alright, alright, alright. Now, depending on how this goes, maybe it goes here. So the threat might be to push and do cool stuff there. White defends this way. Nice, clean cut. Waiting for him and get some shape. That's going to be a very, very important part of this game. Ultimately, the reason why I picked this is shape. Oh my god. These guys were masters of shape. Black goes into corner. And you can kind of see here why, with this next exchange, why we're very, very loath to actually play the large knight nowadays. Even with these extra moves, right, you can see how easy it is to just slip stones back in there and get life for yourself. I mean, we could play here, but I mean, there's like threats here with this connection, so we're going to try and do something about that. One thing I definitely need to do in these videos, and before anyone mentions it, I already know, I'm going to just go ahead and do it again. Some of the trouble that I have in post-production when I'm killing the green screen is the fact that I'm also casting shadows, so I don't have an overhead or a stronger overhead light or a side light or something, just to get rid of the shadows that I'm making, and it kind of screws up everything. I am working on a solution for that, though. Anyway, back to the game, we're defending. Don't want this to be played, because now we're kind of getting surrounded. Forget the Ko. Looks like we're about to just simply flat out die. So great, we're going to play there. Now we're kind of defended in here a bit more, so we go back and play the forcing moves. Looky, looky, looky. We're going to go ahead and play there. Now we've got a weakness there. We're going to go ahead and defend that little guy on up. Well, then we got a cut point we're trying to utilize. Forcing moves first. I love this so much. Forcing moves against this group first. I approve wholeheartedly. It's like, alright, you don't want to die, do you? Black says, no, I don't. So jumps away. And now when we connect, this push here, right? This push here immediately goes into this. So we don't have our cut taking place anymore. So that Hane was very, very nice indeed. Defended it quite well. Yes, I'm a little bit anal about stone perfection. Sorry. Now, we're not quite alive in the corner since we're undercut, so we will go ahead and make ourselves nice and alive there. White's turn. Looks like we have a fair number of moves that might be playable. Everywhere, everywhere really. I mean, we can do stuff here, we can do stuff there, there, there. There's places all over this board where white can play, and I think that has its own little charm. The fact that they like play in this particular style, because there's things that you can do everywhere. Sometimes in more traditional openings, all you can do is like, well, I got a framework here, I'll kind of grow the framework over there. I'm gonna approach here, like, okay, there's only one weak group over here, I'll go ahead and defend that weak group over there. But here it's like you have to be so good, because you have to figure like, well, what's this worth? Do I defend this now? Do I go back over here? There's 3/3s that are available in both corners, but then my stone's weak. Do I do that? I mean, that seems like there's like a lot of reading and probably a ton of counting taking place in these games. White extends, keeps pressure on the group in the center. Obviously, we have to defend ourselves, so we'll do so with yield bamboo joint before playing this lovely little shoulder hit. Shoulder hit's nice. If we run out, if we run out, question now is where does this go? Does this even live? Not gonna do that. Instead, it's like, well, what if I play there? Now we're getting some extra stones available. Now there's some shenanigans going on. But if we just defend this one stone, despite the shenanigans that may be taking place, well then what happens to this stone? What happens when we follow up and attack this stone? That seems like it might be nice. Or you might even just go ahead and take this, threatening here. Could kick, I suppose. So white's like, I'm going to jump up. 3/3 is certainly a threat, and your stones, you go and live those things. Black says, okay, first I'll do is I'll threaten to connect up underneath you. Well, white attaches. I suppose this could potentially be in a situation where if black responds here, he doesn't. But if he does, maybe now we might consider the Atari just so we can get Sente and cap this. Maybe. This is what I was talking about when you need a really good reason for playing the Atari. But black does not play there. He decides to leave. White's like, okay, I'm going to go back and play here, and we know we can do that. But we're not really behind enemy lines. Is this group really going to surround us over here right now? Kind of tough, kind of tough. I like this, trying to control this, these stones to get shape for the black stones. We don't want to lean against those stones. Those of you who had your first intention be like, lean against these stones immediately. Bad idea. This is what you're trying to attack. Don't frigging attack it. Get strength somewhere else first. Better idea. So alright, we're going to play the Hane. Defend and defend and defend. Getting stronger does put this group in danger too. Don't forget. But black says, no. There are two people at this party. Person number 1 and person number 2. It's kind of interesting, even back in these games, 2 is a very scary number in this game. 2 is a very scary number. Black says, well, can I do local stuff? White says, no. Well, what if I Atari? White says, what if you do? Now, these are also seeking to keep white unstable. You can see white's shape is taking a little bit of an assault here. Attach. Going to go ahead and Hane. Pull back, almost got the group surrounded, that's kind of nice. Now here, where we would be tempted to defend in some fashion, what I really like about this game is that white keeps the pressure on. It's like, well, I could defend myself. Defending myself is kind of go-tag. Let's go and see if we can defend ourselves in Sente first. So let's see what we got. White plays Hane. Asks if he can cut through. Black says cut denied. White says that's fine. I'll connect. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting somewhere. So we're getting our shape. We're getting a bit of a base again. We're getting some life for ourselves. We don't have to just like defend and like run away. We're actually accomplishing something. That too is something that I'm actually going to be doing, I think, a lecture on in the future. Too many people I've noticed when they're in danger, they just go into defensive mode. They just try to defend themselves until the threat goes away. But you'll notice that you don't really see that in professional level play. What you see in professional level play instead is this, oh my god, I'm in trouble. What can I threaten to get myself out of this? Because they don't want to just be like, well, I'm just going to let you chase me across the board. What could go wrong there? No, they seek to find the weaknesses and be like, no, son of a... You are going to defend yourself. You're going to stop attacking me right this instant. So that's something that I'm really interested in. I'm going to be doing a lecture on that in the future. You guys can look forward to that. Or not, if you don't care about that topic. But I do. I'll be doing one. What's going on in this game? Alright, white. So he's like defending himself from this attempted attack here by white. Or by black, sorry. And now that he has Sente, because he's got shape and he's got base, he's got stones he can take for himself. He decides to poke a little bit at black's base here. Black defends himself, because he likes bases too. Now we could defend ourselves solidly with an extension here, right? But the trouble from doing something like that is it's gote. So you might find something like your opponent coming back and defending himself since he knows that he's still in trouble. And from there it's kind of hard to predict where the game's going to go. So white says the attack is more important than the settle. Something that I agree with entirely. Attacking is more important than the settling. Because these two stones, we don't really know what's going on. If our opponent plays here right now, not only are those stones not even completely dead yet, but you might have just allowed yourself to get completely surrounded. Who knows? And then can that group live locally? I hope so, because you just said that was more important than this. Whose turn is it? White and black. Okay. Black jumps out, and he's like, yeah, I don't want to do that. And then the white keeps on the pressure. I love this too. T-space extension, not exactly your most solid connection in the history of ever. So what do we have here? We have another fight taking place over these particular stones. It's like, alright, you're going to fight this, whether you like it or not. Plays the Atari, bump stone, sorry about that. Here we see something amazing, an attempt to cut off. That's problematic. Gonna defend as aggressively as possible. Can't respond to that though, because we might lose Sente and then our stone gets taken, and then these are in trouble and we've lost the initiative. Ooh, bad idea. So we're gonna go ahead and connect here. Can't push through, it's gote, bad idea. Looking for shape. Looking for shape. Looking for forcing moves. Can't allow ourselves to be captured, so we're going to connect. hit the stone with my thumb. There we go, bamboo joint. The Atari here is cool because black can't respond to it for fear of these stones being surrounded, so he has to descend. White gets to take. You, I do believe. Must make sure we have our profit there. Okay. That what for white? White says, all right, I'm going to try to invade you, or I'm going to try to surround you. Invasion or surround. Two things at once. Obviously, we have to make certain our group is fine. That means we get to do a little bit of invasion here. A little bit of invading. Black must defend. White drops down. Need this in order to make certain that we're going to be nicely alive. And even now, these like really, really obvious shape ideas are cool. Like right now, like, ooh, we need like Atari, right? We need like Atari here or something, yeah? No. We need to defend our cut point because these stones matter. And this is threatening another capture over there. Black jumps out for a defense. White prevents easy connect. Black doesn't want his stones surrounded. Keep those stones separated. And then make the obvious exchange that we couldn't play earlier. I'm very hesitant to play the next move first before I double check, because they do tend to jump around a bit. This obviously has shape problems here, so we need to defend against them. Nicely defended, nicely protected. Time to come on out, putting pressure back where it belongs, back on his opponent. Now, I want to take a second to emphasize what's been going on right now. White is nicely defending himself, making those forcing moves before playing, before defending the little stuff. He's keeping pressure on his opponent. He's keeping his opponent nicely separated, and his opponent a little bit unsettled. So this right now looks like a very, very interesting game where one player is kind of sort of a little bit outclassing the other, because this guy is not making much in the way of territory, granted, but there's so much unsettled you know it's going to come from somewhere. Also, we don't really need all that much right now because Black's solid territory right now is in here, a little bit in here, and it's so small. It's so small, the territory that we have in here. It's so small. Plus, you know, whatever's up there. I mean, not a lot of solid territory for Black either. Black attaches. White pokes. Immediate connection. Threatens to connect and surround again. Black wedges. White takes. And now Black has a problem. Black has a very big problem. He can't connect. If he connects, this is Sente. This is Sente, that connects up easy. Bad problems here. Bad problems. Bad problems indeed. Pushes through. Or threatens to, sorry. Connects. Plays the Hane, rescuing these stones nice and easily. pokes. Takes the 2 stones. Why the 2 over the 3? Because he knows that if he plays here, these are in trouble, so this is going to be forced. So we play these ones first. We take these 2 stones off the board. Defend ourselves with some shape. White needs to make certain that he's not going to die all of a sudden. So you see a basic exchange occurring over here. Now here's a life and death problem for you. Really, really easy one. Can we kill white on top of the board? Can we kill that? 'Cause it looks like that we can throw in right here and pronounce our opponent dead. Why doesn't that work? Why doesn't that work? You said it doesn't work because we have the Atari here, which is forcing, and the Atari here, which is forcing, and then that, which is nice. You win yourself a cookie. Instead, we're going to attack the 2 stones. And now this part is amazing. It looks like that this is a fairly reasonable attack by black. But look how white just shreds this guy's shape. He extends first. Okay. Black connects. Puts pressure where it belongs on the 2 stones. 2 stones must be defended. Opponent defended, we get to jump out. We're almost to safety. But wait, our opponent is saying no safety. Now what are we going to do? Can we live here? Is it possible? White bends. Is it possible to live here? Black maintains pressure on our shape. Have to connect or lose half of it. Gonna connect. That means we can play here now. If we didn't make this exchange, then the cut is a little bit more irritating. Because if white ever got these 2 stones, we couldn't Hane because we'd be dead. So if white gets these 2 stones, and we can still Hane because the Atari here doesn't really matter. So white is in trouble. Goes after the 2. Now, a lot of us here, I think, would be tempted to give those up and then just try and kill the left-hand side. Yes, that would be tempting indeed. Tempting indeed. Trouble is, if we give those up, there's still the cut point here now, which needs defending. And then there's the turn here. Why am I've got stones in my hand. Derp, derp, derp. What I'm saying is we got this, right? Then if these stones are taken off the board, I'm not going to bother doing right now. We still have to defend here. This is still a push. Keep in mind that's not an Atari. The stones are gone. And now we got a problem where this might now cut off everything. These stones might get cut off, so you're trading these stones. For these stones, those are obviously a lot bigger. These are obviously way bigger. So making this exchange doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all. So if we're not making an exchange, we're connecting. All right? Looking forward to that precious, precious Aji. Atari is going to yield a nice connection. The lovely triangle. Ugh, sorry about that. Getting a little cramped in there, isn't it? All right. So here's where order matters. Cuts through first, because we're threatening all the things. Black plays the Atari to defend himself, which yields the cut. which I think we connect, right? Yeah, otherwise we'd Atari again, and that would be the end of our life. Those of you who can't actually see that, if we take this instead, oops, sorry, that needs to be there, and then Atari and then connect, then we, because like you don't want to go to co, so you'd be connecting here as black. Then the cut here means black turns there. That point we would just connect, and then those 3 stones would be dead. So you can't take that stone. And my voice is doing awful things, so we can't do that. Instead, we're going to connect the Atari. This is still nicely sente, though, don't get me wrong. And now awesome move number 1 comes in here. Threat to kill off the 3 stones. Awesome move number 1 comes in here. Black says, no joy. No joy at all for you, sir. I'm sorry. This is not going to be joyful. White descends, because there's an Atari here still. So black descends. White goes back and cuts off. Tell me that was not amazing and you are a liar. These stones are now severely in trouble. So we have to make sure that this is not an I, first and foremost, because now all we can do is hope for Seki. How do we know we can hope for Seki? Not a lot of liberties in here. They're sharing quite a few. Don't get rid of these. If you don't get rid of those, then white needs to make an I space here, and you won't have time to go and get rid of all your liberties because you only have the outside 2. So after the connection, black plays Atari. Why? Because this group is disconnected, keep in mind, so this has to live as well. I'm going to go ahead and connect up. I'm going to go ahead and live. Throws on in for Seki. Drops down. Forcing move first. There you go. Make yourself the eye. Now you can more clearly see we are sharing these liberties. I have just destroyed that again, sorry, with only the outside 2 in them. So probably can't capture. But we do need this to not be center. There we go, 2 libs there. Go ahead and play Yield Hane. Play there. And now we can rest fairly easily. White goes and takes. Black defends himself, thus giving Sente to white to play away and fight over the bottom of the board. Black plays Hane to curate the Aji. Then he connects, allowing white to Hane over top of his position. You see a fairly standard result here, in which white gets to Hane all over the place. We throw in first because there's Aji. There we go. That would have been a Atari. Oops. Stone here. There we go. Now we go back and make the bomber. Like if we didn't make this exchange now, then throwing in here is not an Atari. So we lost a bit. So we throw in here first because there's still an Atari there while it exists. Now black could play here, but then you have to figure white's in prime position to just smash this, seal him off. Can you live here? Not so sure. So instead, black plays the Atari. Now remember that this game so far, no one's really has any territory. It's very, very small here, very, very small over there. That just turned into utter complete crap. No, not really. Here, Middle, a bit. It's really, really a no territory game. So white picking up these 3 stones is not a small deal. That is not a small deal at all. That's pretty big. Black attaches to sacrifice. I move the entire line over with 1 stone. Play the Atari. This is a little thing that bugs me too. Some people play the Atari from here, which is very, very telling. It means that this is going to be forced no matter what. If you play the Atari from here, that might not be forced because you're only giving up the 2 stones. If you play from here, then you say that you're going to give up the 3 stones instead if you decide to play away. So the Atari from here, where they cannot possibly kill this stone, is a little bit better than the Atari from here. Take away these first before playing the stones. Probably illegal, but oh well. There we go, more stones dead. Black says, I can make something here for myself. White says, no you can't, I'm connected. Okay. Time to go back and play some big moves. Make sure that's not going to get cut off. This I like a lot. Now that that's nicely settled, there's a thread of them going in that we're protecting against. Again, threat. Look at that. He's maintaining it. He's maintaining it. Let's see. We take here. Again, you can see the Seki firsthand. We're getting rid of the outside. Go and connect like so. So that we can get rid of the outside liberties. Now there's no way that black's going to be able to take all of these, nor can white because we throw in, and now we're dead. So great. Great. But what it does allow us to do is push and take away a point for some really, really great endgame. Get to take here, because now that we got rid of that eye, we can be like, you aren't alive yet, sir. Black needs 2 eyes. White gets to say, where's the eye? Forcing him to defend, 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 defend. So all of these stones just made 2 friggin' points. That's all they had. That's all they have, just 2 points. That doesn't have very much more. Granted, that's only 2 points too, but that's still cool. I like that sequence. Now we go back and play a large move. And here is the end of the game. Black backs off, saying that he is safe. White takes the 3 stones. That is getting very, very full, isn't it? Looks like we're playing large endgame points now. Does it not? Looks like we're playing large endgame points. Do you think that's quite large? Black, ever the cunning player, seeks to make this co. If white defends, then we have this. And now there's an Atari here, or a cutoff there, sorry. Or co, picnic co. So white says, I see what you are doing, sir, and I will have none of it. So he connects. Black picks up a point. A couple more points, actually. But white has his own plan afoot. He extends and says, this move is not one that you can play. Can't allow ourselves to be cut off there, so we're going to connect. White pushes up. Now this is getting scary because keep in mind, keep in mind, holy crap, keep in mind. How many groups have been in trouble this game? Let's count them, let's count them, let's count them. This group is now in trouble. Okay. This group was in trouble, and that group was in trouble. So this is like the third black group that was in trouble. 3 of what? 6? Because we also have 1, 2, 3. Yeah, about half of black's groups have been in trouble this game. So what's he gonna do? Attach. White calls no joy. Black plays the Hane. Or the cut, sorry, my bad. We go here. This Atari is irrelevant because we take and then it just gets killed. Black has no choice. He has to not die here, which means white, good old Longshi, just got to kill off stones. And given that this game is already pretty close, those stones, not good, because where can black play next? I mean, black can play here and connect up some stones, but this is still big in terms of endgame. That's not very nice. We've got pushing here now as well. That sucks. We can still be completely cut off. So are we going to forfeit it? Did we lose this in Gote? Do we have to play something like this now? That would be kind of awkward because this, if you think, oh, it's fine because we can push and that's threatening. Oh, no, it's not because we can just go and defend here. And now we're threatening to take another stone. We're nicely defended and not in trouble. So we don't want to do that. Don't want to do that. We don't want to give that stone because we're in endgame. The game's kind of, So is that going to be Sensei too? We're going to play there and then our opponent gets all of the endgame moves? That sucks too. So you can kind of see why, whoops, too many stones have been taken off the board. Why black decided this was, I guess, the end of the road for him because the SGF ends here. I'm assuming that means that black resigned. I definitely like white. I definitely like white. He was able to control his opponent fairly well. I like the shapes that he was making. The little things, like over here, forcing himself to go ahead and threaten the group before taking the small stuff, I like that. I like the exchange over here and forcing his opponent to 2 points. I like that he was able to make this. He was able to read out that there was enough Aji here that we can go ahead and cut, because the cut here, or the cut there, sorry, was very, very important. Black just couldn't give rid of those stones because the rest of it was in danger, right? So we had to protect, allow him to get cut off, and thus secure a Seki in the corner. That was cool. That was really cool. That was some reading right there. That was some cool reading. An ancient Chinese game. I hope you guys certainly enjoyed it. I enjoyed bringing it to your attention. I'm probably going to be looking at some more of this guy's games in the future. I do intend to also, as per your recommendation, and you guys rule. You guys are the ones who are supporting these series on Patreon. Continued support. Thank you very much for that. You guys recommended looking at some of the older players, see their games, check them out, review them. I will be doing so because they are an absolute pleasure to look at. So I hope you're enjoying the series. Hope you continue to enjoy the series. I hope you enjoyed this game. And as always, I will see you next time when we take a look at some more amazing games. Be sure this month to check out my regular lectures. It is going to be Zombie Go month because it is the month of October, so we'll be looking at some games where dead stones come back to life to haunt the players. Also, make sure you check out those. So until next time, take care, everyone.